Then my wife decided she wanted a Valance in this section of our office. Obviously we don't have one. I decided to make it. First thing I had to do is take the measurements and do my very crude drawings. At this point I really wanted to use pallets, so I started gluing pallet wood together. I've never done anything like this before. I grabbed some cheap concrete clamps. I think they were $8 for decent size clamps, and we're going to see what happens with this. I went ahead and trimmed the boards to make them as even possible. However, my topsaw would not reach all the way, and I had to cut the rest of the switch side. Now I'm trying to glue the two pieces together. It's obvious, but I really don't know what I'm doing. We'll learn later that I should have cut 45-degree angles instead of trying to glue them right together and enjoy the accumulated problems. That little piece of wood I'll be attempting to use as a brace. Really together and then use the nail to try to hold everything straight. At this point, it might be important to notate that I'm a much better mechanic than I am a woodworker. As you can see, I'm going to work on after securing it and trying to square it up the best I could, I figured the nail gun was a really good way to hold everything. I did turn the brad nailer down a bit, and the nails were blasting right through, but they were holding, so I was happy with that. Here, again, the smaller pallet boards have failed, so I decided to try some larger ones. These again are 2 pallet boards instead of a 4. However, I hadn't learned my lesson before, and I tried gluing them edge to edge without the 45-degree cut. But I did use a brace. The brace actually did hold them pretty strong, but there was still a big, ugly gap where the two connected. After snipping off the nail heads, instead of banging them down and trying to flatten them, I instead used a cutoff. Right about here is when it gets really fun. I'm going to attempt to cut some 45s on either end. My idea in the beginning was to have it stand off the wall at between 2.5 and 3 inches, and cut 2 45-degree cuts on either side, and then use the cutoffs to mount to the wall. By the way, you see I'm knocking stuff over and searching for things. It really, at this point, getting pretty frustrated. You'll see on a lot of YouTubes they have a nice clean shop. This is one of the reasons. just all this clay really does make things look different. And if you look closely, you'll see my saw is not at 45 degrees. I'm not sure how I missed that mark, but I sure did. Let's see. At this point, I still have practically 5, and I'm frustrated. But I'm not a quitter. The problem is now, the wood is too short to mount on the wall, so I have to start all over, at least with one of the pallet lines. Unfortunately, I have a lot of pallet lines. For anybody that tries to help people online on Facebook, which is where I do it, this is what we're looking at. I posted a picture of my board that was seen collected from garbage, and I have a lot of suggestions. And the 2 best suggestions were cut them to meet in a 45 and use sawdusty glue to hide the seams. So I have to break it apart again. Actually had to use a pry bar this time. The glue is too big. And I finally figured out how to set my saw in the correct 45-degree angle. So I don't know how I missed the cut, but I didn't record it. Right now they're cut at 45s, and simply clamp it and glue it back up. Glue it, clamp it back up. the seam already looks way, way better. There still is a bit of a rise. It's not even. But I figured a DA sander with heavy grit, I think I was 120, would take care of that pretty well. This part is actually pretty cool. I made a paste from glue and sawdust. Had plenty of really fine sawdust, and I rubbed it on and let it semi-dry to just where it was tacky. This stuff will clog up your sandpaper, so if you care about your sandpaper, don't do it. I don't care about sandpaper because it's cheap enough. I went ahead and used the grater type sandpaper. I did this step, I think 3 times total, and each time it just got better and better. Super, super happy, for me at least. I'm super happy with all the polish I got. I have no doubt that professionals out there hopefully will give me some constructive criticism on this and tell me where I could have done even better. Really, really happy with the finished product. You can still see obviously where I used the glue in that seam. I did hit this a few times after this recording, and I also used a router to put a nice edge on it. This is only my second time ever using the router, but I think it turned out pretty nice. It's not in this video though. So I decided to go a different way with the mounting. The board itself, the valance itself is 80 inches long, and the window open was 74 inches. So I had 4 inches on either side, and I decided to use a 4-inch piece of block that I cut from part of the pallet supports, 2 inches thick, to use as standoffs for this. I'm not really sure if the oil is completely necessary in this case, since you really can't see these handoffs. You can see like a tiny little bit of them.
I wasn't 100% sure how it was going to work until I got on the wall, so I figured oiling the entire thing would be good insurance. At this point, I'm looking to drill some pilot holes for the nutserts because the bolts I wanted to use wouldn't screw directly into the wood. You had to screw into some nutserts. So I've gone to Home Depot, gotten the bolts, gotten the nutserts. The bolts are black with Allen heads. I thought they would look pretty good for this whole barn look that the whole house already has. So I measured off 3 inches from the edge and then 1.5 inches top to bottom to make the holes that I needed. This is my first time using nutserts, so obviously I had to drill the hole big enough. Not even breaking a feel, really fragile in my opinion. I snapped a couple of them. This is the exciting part. I already have the nutserts screwed in. I measured everything in, and now I'm simply mounting those standoffs. As you can see, they're just under 2 inches, and that worked for what I wanted. And I'm getting pretty excited at this point because it has been for me a challenge for this. I went ahead and loosely put the first one in, so I had a guide to do the other 3. That's working on cars, keep everything loose until everything's seated, and then you can go ahead and finish it up. As by the way, that ticking sound you hear is a ceiling fan that I've been looking to replace for about a month. I actually have the new one sitting in a box here, and it's just one of those things I have not bothered to do yet, but I will very, very soon because driving me a little bit crazy and it's getting worse. And we have a finished project. I'm pretty happy with it, especially given the challenges that I had with this particular one. I know it seems small, but for me, it's satisfying.